Take her badge. She doesn't belong here." The words cut clean through the glass lobby as two security guards stepped toward Maya Carter, their polished shoes echoing across the marble floor, every head in the building slowly turning as if pulled by the same invisible thread. She didn't move. The lanyard around her neck swayed slightly, the plastic badge catching the cold reflection of overhead lights, her name barely noticed by anyone who had passed her 100 times before. 30 feet away, Richard Whitmore adjusted his cufflinks without looking up, already dismissing her like a smudge on glass, something to be wiped away without thought, without consequence, without realizing that in less than 60 seconds, removing her would become the most expensive mistake he had ever made. No one stepped in to stop it because no one ever did. Not for someone like Maya Carter. Not for the woman who came in before sunrise and left long after the last executive car pulled away, her presence measured in clean glass and silent hallways rather than titles or recognition, the kind of invisible that people grow comfortable with, the kind that makes it easy to forget she is even there until someone decides she should not be. And today someone decided exactly that. She kept her posture steady as the guards closed the distance, her hands relaxed at her sides, not defensive, not pleading, just still, the way she had learned to be after years of being overlooked in rooms where decisions were made without people like her ever being considered part of the equation, her eyes briefly lifting toward the towering digital screen behind the reception desk, where numbers moved in quiet urgency, millions of dollars shifting in real time, a language she understood far better than anyone here would ever assume. A few employees exchanged glances, not out of concern, but curiosity, as if watching something mildly inconvenient being handled, already turning back to their conversations, their coffee, their schedules, while 30 feet away Richard Whitmore remained untouched by the moment, his focus fixed on the deal waiting upstairs, never once questioning why the woman being escorted out had been standing exactly where the numbers mattered most. One of the guards reached for her badge with a practiced motion, not rough but firm, the kind of movement reserved for people who had already been judged, already decided, and Maya did not resist. She simply let the plastic card slide from her neck as if it had never belonged to her in the first place. The quiet click of the clip echoing louder than it should have in the wide marble space, while a man near the reception desk let out a low chuckle and muttered, "She probably wandered into the wrong floor," just loud enough for others to hear. And a few smiles followed, quick, dismissive, the kind that vanish before anyone has to own them. Another voice joined in, sharper this time. "This is why access needs to be tighter." As if she were a security flaw instead of a person, and someone else shook their head, not in sympathy, but in convenience, eyes flicking over her uniform like it explained everything they needed to know. Maya stood there, empty lanyard brushing against her chest, her presence reduced to a mistake being corrected, while 30 feet away Richard Whitmore finally glanced over, his gaze passing across her without recognition, without pause, before turning back to his assistant with a slight impatience, as if the real issue was not the humiliation unfolding in front of everyone, but the fact that it was delaying something far more important to him. The guard gestured toward the exit with quiet insistence, his patience thinning as the attention around them grew heavier, thicker, like the air itself was watching, waiting for this to end. But Maya did not step forward, not yet, her eyes lifting again to the towering screen where the numbers continued to shift in silent urgency, percentages flickering, projections updating, a pattern forming that no one else seemed to notice. Or worse, no one else cared to question, and that was when she spoke, not loudly, not to challenge, but clearly enough to cut through the low hum of dismissal. If he signs that deal in the next 5 minutes, this company loses control of everything. The words landed wrong to the room, not because they were unclear, but because of who said them, and a ripple of disbelief moved through the small crowd, followed by a sharper reaction, a man near the elevators exhaling with a short laugh. Now she is giving financial advice. And another voice, colder, more direct. Just take her out already. As if her voice itself was the problem, not the warning inside it, while the guard's hand hovered near her arm again, firmer now, urging her forward, urging this moment to end before it became something more, something uncomfortable, something that might force the wrong people to listen. Across the lobby, Richard Whitmore paused mid-step, just for a second, the faintest hesitation, not because he believed her, but because the room had shifted in a way he did not like, attention no longer fully his, control slightly out of alignment. And he turned, finally looking at her with something closer to irritation than curiosity, his voice calm but edged. You have exactly 10 seconds to explain why you think you belong in a conversation that is far above your level. And for the first time, the pressure in the room stopped being about removing her and started becoming about whether she would dare to speak again. The room held its breath without realizing it, the kind of silence that presses in from all sides. And Maya did not raise her voice. She only met Richard Whitmore's gaze with a steadiness that did not match the way she was dressed, the way she had just been dismissed. Are you sure you want to do that? She asked, not challenging, not pleading, just certain, and something in the way she said it landed differently than everything before. Her eyes flicking once toward the screen behind him, then back to his face, as if she already knew what he was about to miss, what he was about to lose. One of the guards shifted, waiting for the signal to move her again, but Richard did not speak right away, his fingers tightening slightly around the folder in his hand, his attention pulled for a fraction too long toward the numbers she had been watching, and that was when he hesitated, not visibly to everyone, but enough for the moment to stretch just a little further than it should have. The silence did not break, it stretched, thin and fragile, like something about to snap, and Maya did not look away, her gaze steady on Richard Whitmore, as if she had already seen how this would end. Page 14, she said quietly, her voice calm, almost detached, like she was pointing out something obvious that everyone else had chosen to ignore. Third paragraph under liability transfer. It is not protection. It is a full reversal. And a few people shifted, subtle at first, a lawyer near the back adjusting his stance, another executive glancing down at the tablet in his hand, fingers hesitating before scrolling, while Richard's expression hardened, not because he understood yet, but because he did not like the way attention was moving away from him, away from control. That clause does not cap exposure, Maya continued, her tone still even, not rising, not defensive. It removes it completely and hands it to you. And this time the reaction was different, quieter, more uncomfortable, because now the words sounded specific, precise, not like a guess, not like someone speaking out of place, but like someone who had read it, understood it, recognized something buried where it was not supposed to be seen. A man in a navy suit finally spoke, his voice lower now, less certain. Wait, which section did you say? And another voice followed. Pull it up. And the large screen behind them flickered as the document shifted, lines of text expanding, numbers recalculating in real time. The room no longer watching her, but watching the screen, watching the possibility that something had been missed. Maya did not move, even as the guard's hand slowly lowered, no longer certain of what he was supposed to do. And for the first time since this began, the question in the room was no longer why she was here, but how she knew, because people like her were not supposed to see things like this, were not supposed to understand deals measured in hundreds of millions of dollars, and yet she stood there without notes, without hesitation, already ahead of them, while Richard's jaw tightened just slightly as the numbers shifted again, a detail emerging that did not align with what he had been told, a discrepancy too precise to ignore, and in that moment, the mistake was no longer theoretical, it was visible, forming in real time, and everyone in the room could feel it, even before anyone was willing to say it out loud. The screen froze on the expanded clause, a single line now highlighted, undeniable, the numbers beneath it recalculating into something far heavier than projected, and the man in the navy suit leaned closer, his voice no longer casual. This is not a cap, this transfers everything. And a ripple moved through the room, not loud, not chaotic, but sharp, precise. The kind of realization that lands all at once, while Richard Whitmore did not speak, his eyes fixed on the screen as if staring longer might change what was already there, but it did not. It only made it clearer. Slowly, almost absent-mindedly, one of the guards looked down at the badge in his hand, then back at Maya, uncertainty replacing certainty, and without being told, he stepped forward and held it out to her again, not as an order this time, but as something being returned, something that should not have been taken in the first place. Maya accepted it without a word, clipping it back into place with a soft click that carried farther than before, because now everyone was listening. And when she looked up again, the room had changed, not in structure, but in understanding, because the person they had tried to remove was the only one who had seen the truth before it became irreversible, and the mistake they made was no longer just about a deal. It was about who they chose to ignore. No one laughed now. No one whispered. No one looked away, because the cost of ignoring her had already revealed itself in numbers too large to dismiss and silence too heavy to escape. And Richard Whitmore finally exhaled, slower this time, his confidence no longer leading the room but following it, trying to catch up to a truth that had arrived before him. The deal was paused, then pulled back entirely, voices shifting from authority to correction, from certainty to damage control, and through it all, Maya Carter stood exactly where she had been from the beginning, unchanged, unseen only minutes ago, undeniable now. She did not ask for recognition, did not wait for apology. She simply adjusted the edge of her badge and turned slightly, her presence no longer something to be removed, but something the room would remember, because sometimes the biggest mistake is not the deal you sign, it is the person you choose not to see.